Hey everybody, it's me, Beth Maitland, the Drama Queen Bee. Thanks for joining me for this quick tutorial. Today we're going to kind of enter the world of free motion. This is actually a mid-arm machine, but it's considered kind of a long-arm technique. And I have a lovely little temporary setup in my studio, and I want to talk to you about making this beautiful whole cloth quilt. Here is me applying the backing and also doing the binding, but this is the quilt after it's been laundered, and the batting inside has shrunk and crunched up a little bit, and all of the micro stippling and the little trapunto effects I've tried have been installed. But this is how you push all of that extra batting down next to the things that you want to puff up. We're going to talk about pebbles today. We're going to show how you fill in a negative space area in your quilt with a small kind of stippling or overall design. In this case, it's pebbles and marbles that will push down the batting next to something you want to puff up in the overall end project. And this is a technique that's used to fill in behind applique, behind this kind of trapunto work where I've got these beautiful freehand feathers and I've got an extra layer of batting underneath inside these feathers, and then I'm just putting a whole bunch of stitches down next to it to make it puff up like you saw in the pictures at the beginning of the video. Now you just try to make circles for this pebble and marble design. The circles don't have to be exactly the same shape, and you build them in sort of a figure-8 motion. You can see that I am going in one direction to build one circle, and then I'm going in the opposite direction when I build the next one. And you want to install these pebbles as close to the applique, or in this case the feathers, as you can without going into the design field. You want to make sure that you don't have little scalloped edges interfering in your feathers. And you see when I got down to that corner how I sort of just followed the outline of the pebbles to get back out again and continue filling in the space as I go. You don't want to have to backtrack very much if you can help it. So use the pebbles to travel along the empty design area. And in this case, I'm working my way into a little crevice and then out again, using the opposite edges of these designs to get me in and out, and filling in the center before I move that much further on. So I never have to go back down the middle of this and fill in a center line of designs, pebbles and marbles. And you can use the varying sizes of those circles to fill in the space as needed, so you can be a little bit more flexible with something like this. This is also called micro stippling, micro filler work. You can use a simple stipple design or meander design. You can use McTavishing, another very famous and awesome design that goes behind this kind of trapunto, or again around an applique. It would work out very well in a quilt. But this is definitely a free motion technique that takes a little practice. I recommend using a pen and paper, and you can see lots of tutorials about how to do that, or a whiteboard works really well too, because you can just wipe off your work. And they call that muscle memory when you're drawing at first, doing all the circles and figure-8s, going around a little extra to get out another side so that you can keep building one upon the other. And you can see it's kind of hypnotic. The most important thing is to relax, to not be holding so tight on those handles or on your fabric if you're using a domestic machine, so that you are so tense that the lines aren't fluid. The most successful quilting is done while you're relaxed and breathing, your shoulders aren't clenched, and then when you walk away from the machine, you're not stiff and sore as well. I recommend taking breaks, especially for this little tiny work, because it uses more muscles than doing the larger designs. I recommend sometimes people even take a little step stool and put one foot up on the stool as you're standing in front of your machine. If you're sitting down using a domestic machine, make sure that you have a very comfortable chair. This is an example of the finished quilt. Free motion, whole cloth quilt, filling in tight spaces. Thanks so much for joining me for this tutorial. It's Beth Maitland, the Drama Queen Bee. See you next time.